Welcome into the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything you need to know about the squad. Hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and those who cover the NBA on a daily basis. The New Orleans Pelicans Podcast starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, the official podcast of your New Orleans Pelicans. And it is an exciting Wednesday, not only because the Pelicans are on national TV, that's always nice, it's because they let us out of the building. Well, we have a watch party tonight over there at Bayou Beer Garden. Jim, I Do Lots of Shots, Eichenhofer will be with us. Aaron Summers will be with us here as well. He's already all smiles. He's already excited. He's got his game day, I'm going out night shirt on. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
It takes a lot for them to allow me to go get loose and get out in the city. So look out. Look out.
I'm looking forward to that. We'll be there, obviously. Pelicans warm-up. We'll be there live. Pelicans at the half. Pelicans OT. We'll be doing all of that from Bayou Beer Garden. So remember, tip time tonight at 6:30, since it is a nationally televised game. So our pregame will start at 6 p.m. But I think Jim's leaving right after this to go get started over there. So we'll be out there.
Definitely. You got to fuel up, got to get ready, got to get the game face on. This is going to be a big test tonight. So we need everybody to be ready for it and be well in advance of tip-off.
Yes. And here's the other thing, too. If you don't want to go be a part of it with us, it's an official watch party, which means Pierre the Pelican will be there, members of the Pels Dance Squad will be there, and more importantly, goodies. If you want merch, you want free gear, and it's good stuff. It's not like a napkin, with the Pelicans logo on it that they got from the media, meal room. It's a legit, like they got shirts. They've brought the chains out there. They got koozies. It's presented by Corona. They might have Corona up there. Just saying. I don't know if I can say it, but I'm saying it. Just show up. It's fun. Also, it really is just a good time.
Also, the fact that local TV isn't doing this game, the only pregame coverage you can get from the Pelicans is on the radio side.
So. I think it's one of the few times Aaron Summers will be allowed out the studio on a road game.
That's right.
So he's there to enjoy it as well. All right, where are we with the Pelicans? It is 5 straight losses. It is 8 of their last 9. It is a game back on Monday, Jim. The Pelicans, it was there for the taking. They just could not close at the end of that game, and it was tough. I mean, you look at it, it was a game where you had to lead in the last 4 minutes, and head coach Willie Green had this to say on the defeat.
Overall, I loved our effort. I loved the team that went out on the floor today. We competed. Those guys played together. They did a lot of what we asked them to do. And I know they're tired of me saying this, but there's a lot of positives to take out of this game and a lot to build from. And we came up short. It sucks. It hurts. We'll feel it tonight. And then tomorrow when we come back in, we'll get right back after it.
Jim?
Yeah, I mean, the tough part about Monday was that the Pelicans have had a stream of games lately where they really didn't have a great chance to win, lost by 20-plus points. I mean, after the Orlando game, you're not going to go home and say after that one, if we just did a couple different things, we could have won the game. But I think that was the tough part that was tough about the game against Brooklyn was that you had every opportunity to get that win. And in a position where you really need wins any way you can get them against any opponent, no matter what the circumstances are, that was frustrating to not be able to pull that off because it was one of those games where you look back on it and you say if 1 or 2 possessions had gone differently, if they had scored a basket here, maybe they could have put Brooklyn in a much more difficult position. But unfortunately, you end up losing the game, and you're 3-8 now.
It was interesting because I think one of the things that he said yesterday kind of resonated with me. And it's one thing to constantly, and I get it, media, fans, there he is again, being positive. Got to keep doing what you've been doing. But at some point, that's got to be put into practice. Right? Do you understand what I mean by that? In other words, saying, hey, go out there, play hard, practice hard, put in your work at practice, and it's going to pay off. And at some point, it has to. Listen to the end of what he had to say specifically about how that message needs to be something more than just a message. It needs to be something that you could put tangibly on a court.
We're going to show up and work on our details, work on our execution. Even let's go back to last game. I mean, we 31 assists, only 11 turnovers. A minute left in the game, we're up 4 points. I'm encouraging our team, keep putting yourselves in those positions. Because if we keep doing that, those are more opportunities for us to try to win those games.
That Orlando game on the road, Jim, all right, you weren't in that game.
Right.
You couldn't get anything going. B.I. had a rough game. The offense was just turnovers. You were down early. You were in that Cleveland game. You were in 3 of those 4 games here at home. You had the lead with a minute something to play against Brooklyn. As crazy as it sounds, maybe I'm nuts. I didn't put anything in my coffee over here, but they're actually in these games without all these players. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I think it's been a combination of games where you've been in and had a chance to win, and then other games where you, after the fact you're kind of like, man, we just didn't have enough firepower and talent on the floor. But I mean, yeah, they had a chance to win that game. I think, he mentioned the 31 assists, 11 turnovers against Brooklyn. If you can do anything close to that against Oklahoma City, they're the number 1 defense in the league. That would be amazing. You would take that in an instant if you can have close to a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio against them. So, I mean, there are definitely some things that they've done well. I think Monday was really more the timing of it. The timing of when it wasn't necessarily turnovers, but it was just a lot of bad possessions in the last few minutes.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just, I guess, is tough. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this, there was another injury to the team.
I heard.
Another hamstring. Didn't know if you knew that either.
I did.
You know who Jose Alvarado is?
I'm quite familiar.
He suffered a left hamstring strain, what Zion has, but he's going to be reevaluated for 3 weeks. That's officially what the team had to say. Coach Green on it?
My message is the same. Our message is the same. We're always disappointed that it happens. When it happens to any of our players, we're disappointed for them. We know that the work that they're putting in to make themselves available to be on the floor. But at the same time, we want a speedy recovery, and, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for other guys to step on the floor. We're not going to feel sorry for ourselves. We had a good day today, good film session, good practice, and we keep moving forward.
Like he said, I mean, all you can do is just look at the situation and do the best you can with the players that are available. I mean, the Pelicans have started 8 different starting lineups in the first 11 games, and tonight will be guaranteed to be number 9. Excuse me, because I looked this up because, I mean, at this point you have to look everything up. Every starting lineup has had Jose or CJ McCollum in it, so both of those guys are out now.
Crazy.
So as a result, I mean, the domino effect of that, Brandon Boston has been on the ball a lot in recent games, even with Jose playing, and now I think that'll scale up even more.
You brought up, I think, yesterday, and the very interesting fact, the turnover ratio with him, as in he doesn't turn the ball over very often, if at all. He's gone games where he's had 0 turnovers and has handled the basketball. Jim, is that a player that Willie Green says, here, bring the ball up the court?
For sure. The stat that I thought was the most interesting, that in the 4 games that he's started, he's had 22 assists and only 3 turnovers. So that is amazing. That's like Tyus Jones level of elite. You get up to 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, and in his case, it's more than 7-to-1 since he's been a starter. So, yeah, I don't know how much more you could ask from a guy who really hasn't played point guard in the NBA at all to be able to have that kind of playmaking and also just limit his mistakes a ton. So, yeah, I mean, again, against Oklahoma City, the challenge is even greater because they're leading the league in steals by a big margin. I think they're still leading it in blocks, even though Chet Holmgren has missed the last game. But he's going to be hounded by a lot of guys. I mean, I think this is the case for both Brandons. Brandon Ingram is going to be swarmed by Lou Dort and multiple other wing defenders for OKC. And Brandon Boston, I'm sure, is going to have a lot of people running at him to try to disrupt some of what he's been doing on the ball lately.
Yeah. Speaking of OKC, I asked Coach yesterday his thoughts on the Thunder.
The confidence that they had from last season is carried over to this year. They had a really good run in the playoffs. They're a young group. They're playing confident. They're good defensively. They play together. They play hard. They're a really good team.
Well, in OKC is Andrew Lopez. Despite the fact that his game is on national television, he is still traveling with the team, and he will be actually on with Ty Graffinini coming up in the third quarter and give his. Although, Jim, the last time that he was on, the Pels lost the lead, and they eventually would lose the game. So it'll be very interesting to see how long the Graf lets him in on the action. But let's head on over to OKC and have that conversation with them. Time now to bring in our guest for today, and it is Mr. Andrew Lopez, television side of your New Orleans Pelicans for the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. You're in OKC, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I am also figuring out what season fall is right now. It's a little. I have to wear this hoodie.
Mhm.
I don't think we have that in New Orleans.
No, it's still a little warm, little humid, little rainy, sir. Little rainy.
Yeah, I don't see a cloud in the sky, so I'm actually happy about that. But it is like it was a little chilly walking back from dinner last night. I was like,
It's not chilly. I don't want to hear that. I'm sweaty. I have to wear these long sleeve shirts to look professional. When you're like here 19 years like Jim, as you can see through the Zoom, you can just wear whatever you want. Wear whatever you want when you get to 19
Yeah,
years,
I'm wearing a beer t-shirt right now. No, I actually I don't want to.
Let me tell you something. He is ready for our watch party tonight over at the Bayou Beer Garden. Here's the thing, Andrew. 5 straight losses, 8 of 9. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the team, get into your duties on the road and all that. But just give us an overall state of where you are. Where is the team at right now? They had a team dinner last night.
Yes.
Did they throw food at each other or anything? Was it a nice team dinner? What was it like?
Very, very nice team dinner. Very, very good atmosphere still around the team right now. Practice, shoot around. It's still very lively. It's still, nobody's really getting down on each other. There's no yelling. It's nothing like that. Still a team unit. It's just, I think everybody understands what we're dealing with here, and that's a lot of injuries. And yes, there's a lot of injuries across the NBA right now, especially from what you want to call stars, I guess. I don't know if anybody's been hit just as severe as the Pelicans have, and I think there's a lot of that going on right now. When you're about to with Jose out, you're likely going to start now your 9th starting lineup in 12 games.
Yeah.
Not fantastic. You have already started this season 13 different players in 11 games. Last season, Pelicans started 11 players throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
Sorry, 11 players.
11 players all season last year, 13 players first 11 games.
And we're not even at Thanksgiving yet.
Not even at Thanksgiving. It is a lot to deal with, and you still have not truly seen, I think, what this team is capable of. Obviously, you're going to hopefully get some guys back here soon. That injury report should start to shrink a little bit, but it's just hard, and there's limited practice time, there's limited shoot time. So, you got lineups that haven't played with each other. You have combos that are trying to figure this out on the fly. And it's tough, and it's just been a lot of tough injuries at all at once. So you're just trying to navigate that, and oh, by the way, you're in the Western Conference where it's going to be a little harder to climb out of any hole you dig yourself in than if you were in the other conference.
Andrew, one of the reasons we wanted to have someone on the podcast today from TV, even though you guys aren't doing the game, is we wanted to make sure we still had some Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network input on a day when people would be getting it otherwise. I was curious. I think the last time that we had you on the show was a few weeks ago, maybe during preseason before we had gotten into the regular season. You have very distinct duties in terms of when the team's at home and when the team's on the road. I was wondering if you could kind of go through, what you enjoy about maybe each side of it.
Yeah, so at home, I am hosting pre, half, and post. On the road, I'm just doing sideline. Obviously, I do sideline for home as well. It's great to. I will say this at home games. It's a unique experience because I'll have my IFE, which is that little thing that the reporters wear in their ear, and I wish we were on video for this. I could do the old fashioned, put your finger to your ear and hold the microphone up move that you see in every time you see like a televised movie or anything where the reporter, they make that happen to make it. I want you to see that I'm on TV right now. So I have to put my hand over my ear. So that I'm definitely doing this. But what I can do when I'm sitting on the baseline, I hear Joel and AD in one ear.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting next to Wes Johnson, our analyst for pre, post, and half. And it's great to hear because he doesn't have anything, so he's just kind of doing his thing. To hear him and AD kind of call the game at the same time, or point things out at the same time, and like I hear AD say one thing, and then Wes says the exact same thing. Of like, this guy did this guy did this. This guy's supposed to cut, and it's very unique. That part has been great. Listening to Joel and AD, learning from Joel and AD has been great, and our whole, production staff, Josh Richardson, Cam, Ryan, like everybody in the truck, all of those guys have been fantastic. Hosting has been fun. It's a different, it's different for me. I thought that was going to be the thing that was a little more, was going to take more time to kind of get used to, but I mean, that's been so much fun. Even with, our rowdy fans behind us, trying to make sure they get a glimpse of themselves on the
a lot of dancing going on behind you. A lot of different moves. I don't know if you know.
There's a lot. I will say this: you don't get to see it. A lot of dancing going on the set. Like I think it's DJ Hollaback's in the background. You got the brass band in the background. You got Slam Funk back there. Pre-game is we're moving. We're dancing a little bit. There's a lot of times where DJ is playing some really good music right before we have to go on air, and Wes and I are maybe paying attention to that a little more. And we're moving around, and it's like you start hearing that 5, 4, 3. We're like, oh. All right, welcome back to the Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network as we're trying to get right back on air. But I'll tell you what, it's a lot of fun, and look forward to doing it in some more wins coming up soon.
Well, Gus and I can't wait for you and Wes to start your TikTok dance channel, where you can go there and watch all of your TikTok dances that you're doing right before you go on air. You're shaking your head, so I guess that's a non-starter for you right now.
Might not be on the TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing, especially when it comes to that, because my wife lives on TikTok and everyone else apparently does. Like Instagram's fast, right? Like you hold the button and it works. Like Instagram, it's like a 10, 15-minute event to like do like a 3-minute or 30-second video. Am I off on that? Am I wrong on that?
Not for me.
No. This is where my age is going to show. Couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you. Yeah,
couldn't tell you.
Couldn't tell you.
Stay on Twitter /X and Instagram when needed. I'm not. There's too much social for me to get into.
Andrew, obviously you're not going to be on the air or on TV tonight, but you're also doing some digital stuff as well. Can you kind of briefly explain some of your presence in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, we also do. So Aaron will do some kind of practice reports when we're at home. I'll take care of those duties when we're on the road. Did one this morning, a little post shoot around practice report. We'll switch it up a little bit today. I just kind of interviewed Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who
nice.
I pointed out to him before that Joel Myers only calls him Jeremiah. Does not say JRE, does not say J-Rob, does not give. He's like, it's like, good. Someone needs to say my first name. He's like, I like it. He's like, I'll take it. So had a little bit of talk with JRE, who obviously started his career here in Oklahoma City. Played 2 years here before signing with the Pels. So talked to him a little bit about that, about different lineups, but it's a little bit more of that, just kind of still, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, wherever I'm needed to be.
Yeah. A podcast interview on like some longer road trips. We're going to be getting that from you as the season progresses as well. I know you did one of those already.
I was going to say, I think I did that, right? Did I do that already? It's been a long season so far.
That was during the Golden State Portland road trip. You did one.
There we go.
If I could make one suggestion though, for your U.S. sideline reporter, it would be, I need more walk-off interviews. You've only done 3 so far.
I would like those.
Yes.
I know I would very much like those.
They only happen after wins. So if whatever you can do to make that happen, Andrew, that would definitely be much appreciated.
You know what? I'll even take a win tonight, even if it doesn't mean me getting a walk-off.
You should do one anyways.
You should just do one.
Just do one.
Yeah.
Katie George is going to be doing the walk-off tonight. I'm just going to walk in, just walk right up and I'll just do one too while I'm here. So.
Yeah, do a selfie walk-off interview maybe.
Might get that done.
I guess, kind of turning towards the game tonight in Oklahoma City. I mean, what do you think are some of the main things that's going to take for the Pelicans to pull this off? I would think that objectively, people from the outside that are going to watch this game or people that are getting ready for this game are thinking like this would be quite a stunner if the Pelicans can win this game. I mean, they're up against the Thunder team that is number one in defense and has done so many different things well. But I mean, what do you think are some of the maybe one or two of the things that the Pelicans need to focus on tonight?
Well, one thing is, and we don't know what lineup, we think we know what lineup the Thunder are going to throw out there tonight. No Alex Caruso for them, so we'll see how that kind of changes some things. But when the lineup they threw out against the Clippers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the point guard, was the tallest player on the floor for the Oklahoma City Thunder, 6'6". Everyone else was 6'4", 6'3", or 6'5". Jalen Williams is starting at the center for right now because other Jalen Williams is hurt. Chet Holmgren is hurt. Isaiah Hartenstein is hurt.
Wow.
Kenrich Williams just came back, I think, either last game or 2 games ago. He's kind of going to be the backup 5. So, we'll see what lineup the Pels throw out there tonight. But if you're going based off starters from last game, at least you're going to have 3 guys taller than anyone else in the OKC starting group between Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, and Yves Missi. You have all 3 of your centers. You have Daniel Tice. You have Trey Jemison. Both of them should still get some run. You're going to have the size advantage tonight. You're going to have to get to the rim. And I know that's hard against a team who has so many very good perimeter defenders. You're going to have to get to the rim. There's not going to be a lot of rim protection tonight. Obviously, there's going to be a lot. They're going to be in the passing lanes. They're going to be trying to force turnovers. That's what they do. But you can get to the rim. You should have an advantage on the glass. Those are going to have to be the areas where you're just going to have to dominate tonight. If you're going to try to take down one of the top teams in the West with 90 something points based off last year's averages that are out right now.
The elephant in the room going into this game. Lou Dort going to be on the floor.
Lou Dort is going to be on the floor.
He is going to be on the floor. Revenge game, perhaps? No, in all honesty, look, obviously a lot was made of the 4 games in the postseason last year. Brandon Ingram and Lou Dort. Brandon Ingram wasn't healthy.
No,
right?
Not at all. I don't even know if Brandon was 80 or 90% at that point, but tough through it because it was the playoffs and that's what you do.
Look, you got to imagine he heard that. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm very curious about the game tonight if that matchup happens, aren't you?
I think that matchup will happen. I think we're still going to see teams kind of key in on him. We have to see where Trey Murphy is with his minutes restriction. How much is he going to be? I think he played 26 the other night. Does he slide up to 28, 30? Is he going to be free of restriction? Like where do we get with that? Because you're going to have a lot of lineups. So I think with both of those out there, we saw Trey before Jose got hurt. We saw them kind of like, okay, Jose was going to be tied to the Trey minutes. Maybe you try and get those 2 on the court together, so you can't just focus all of your attention on Brandon Ingram. It's going to be key for guys like Brandon Boston, JRE, whoever else is on the floor to get and make shots. But I think they're going to I think Dort and BI is going to be a key matchup for them. But I think Brandon's going to be a little, he's going to be up for this. He heard all that noise. I think he's going to be ready for this one.
I think the tough thing for BI tonight is it's not going to just be, okay, I got to go against Lou Dort. It's going to be Cason Wallace is running at him. Aaron Wiggins is running at him. I mean, multiple guys that are quality defensive players. Caruso is going to be running at him. He's going to be facing a lot of doubles and stuff like that. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be like you can look at his stat line at the end of the game and say, oh, he got his revenge against OKC or he didn't get his revenge.
Right.
Because it's going to be difficult.
Right.
But one of the players that you mentioned earlier too, Yves Missi has had a bunch of really interesting challenges in terms of going head to head against conventional centers. Miles Turner, he had a bunch of duels with him at the rim. Nick Claxton. I mean, I love the fact that Yves is not afraid to try to dunk on anyone, and he's not afraid to get dunked on either. He goes after shots. But tonight specifically, to me, I mean, couldn't this be like a really fascinating test for him in that OKC is going to have a bunch of lineups like you referenced, Andrew, where no one out there is over 6'6". So to me, one of the things I'm watching tonight is really both ends of the floor. I think it's going to be it could go in any direction. I mean, you could see the Pelicans saying like, okay, let's use him more than usual because of the small lineups that OKC has, or you could say this is a tough matchup for him. So, I mean, is that something too that you're going to keep an eye on against OKC?
Absolutely. It should be, you think this would be another prime double night for Eve just because of those factors. Obviously, because of the rebounds, they should be there. But if you're going to put pressure on the rim tonight, which should be the case if there is not a lot of rim protection there, one of the counters to that for OKC may be to try and we're going to put multiple guys at whoever's driving the rim, and if that's Brandon, we know Brandon likes that little dump off pass to Eve. Eve's in the dunker spot, so should have a lot of that. Should have some offensive rebounds, some putback type opportunities. So the big key for Eve tonight, whether or not Eve's going to, how many minutes Eve plays, is going to be how does he guard in space? Because when you have all these guys, they're all going to be perimeter guys. They're all going to be nobody's going to be kind of sitting in the lane. It's going to be some unique lineups, and it's how does he guard in space? Are they going to switch? Are they going to red? And is he going to find himself on Shea at times? Are they going to blitz? Like whatever they're going to do tonight, it's going to be, how is he defending in space and kind of staying out of that foul trouble that we saw him get in some of those situations early in the year. He's done a great job of that so far, regular season wise, but getting in space, we'll see how he does tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm encouraged by his mobility on defense. I mean, he's definitely what you would consider to be a traditional center in terms of his size and his tendencies, but he also can move his feet. So I think that hopefully that'll help him a lot against OKC. Last thing for me on this specific game tonight is, what do you think we're going to see in terms of ball handling and how they're going to try to run the offense? I mean, one of the things I noted is that Jose and CJ have one of those two guys has been the starting lineup every game. And obviously they have Ingram to handle some of the ball handling as well. But I mean, what do you think? What do you think the Pelicans are going to do? I mean, that's got to be something also that we're going to have to keep a close eye on tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously Brandon Ingram is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. I think we've seen kind of the emergence of Brandon Boston as kind of this pseudo backup point guard that they've been using so far. So I think he'll get some run on the ball tonight. And then this is where a guy like Jalen Noel comes in, and he's probably your guy who he's your truest point guard, I guess, on the roster right now. And even that's not a role that he has traditionally always filled in his career, but it's probably some combination of those three. I think that kind of run the offense tonight, which could put maybe Brandon's, obviously you want Brandon's scoring numbers to be up there, but he's going to have to take a little bit more role there. But I could see Brandon Boston being maybe the guy who has more thrust upon him as a ball handler than maybe in games past because of the lineup changes.
See what happens, obviously, as I told Jim, and we were talking about it getting into the podcast today. Got to just find a way to scrap some wins. As you said at the start of our conversation, we're eventually going to get healthy. You're going to get some bodies back. You just don't want to be so far back with it. But something that you mentioned in this conversation, too, I didn't realize, Oklahoma City had those many injuries. The Suns have had injuries. The NBA has a lot of banged up players right now. So at some point in time, maybe you can make up some of those games. Just got to find a way to scratch and claw some of these games. I mean, you look ahead to the next 5, they look overwhelming, right? I mean, you got Denver coming in who's playing hot. The Lakers, who have a size advantage, they always play well here. Cleveland again, Golden State. Oh my gosh, Steph Curry, Cleveland going into it, which, by the way, I asked Jim, is Steph Curry an MVP candidate right now?
He's got it's tough, but he's probably in top 5. He's still up there. I mean, obviously Tatum's up there, AD's up there. I don't know if I can say that on a Pels podcast, but
yeah, I can edit
cut the mics.
Yeah, I'll let it out.
Just bleep it. I mean, AD's up there. Tatum's up. Like there's a big group.
But when you're
Joker, I mean, Joker's clearly up there. I mean, he's gonna be up there no matter what. When you're averaging 30, 12, and 12 with 56, 85 splits or whatever he's on right now. You got to look at Donovan Mitchell right now.
Yeah.
That group who may end up getting 3 or 4 All-Stars for Cleveland the way they're playing right now. So shout out Kenny Atkinson. So he's probably in that top 5, 6 area, especially with Golden State playing as well as they are right now, considering, I don't know if people thought they were going to be top 2 or 3, especially after losing Clay this year.
Yeah. No, again, it's one of the surprises so far this season. Milwaukee being another surprise, I think, in the other direction there as well. Yeah. So
wouldn't mind if they kept losing. That would be okay with me.
Are we even a month? Are we even a month into?
We're not going to. I'm just saying I wouldn't. Like I wouldn't
storylines.
Mind it. Wouldn't mind it. That's all I'm saying.
There we go. Watch out for the shade. Just good side throw. Anyway, we'll have some fun. Enjoy the third quarter. You'll be with the graph. I give or take 5 possessions because you were on there last time and the Pels lost the lead.
It is my goal to be kicked off of the radio by graph tonight. I think
that's your goal.
That is my goal.
So under 5 possessions, I can't gamble, but I can't do on the games. Can I do like the broadcast? Can I do that? Is there like an app?
I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. I don't think I'm going to make the whole quarter.
I love that. Okay, so let's do. There's the under 6 timeout, right, and the under 3 timeout. Does Andrew make it to the under 3 timeout or under 6 timeout?
I'm gonna say he makes the first timeout, but right before the second timeout, before he goes to commercial, he's off.
He's off.
Yep.
Okay, so Jim's gonna go with that's all the time we have. Not even going into the timeout.
I don't even know. Yeah, he might not even give me like a proper send off. It might just be. He might just physically rip the headset off my head tonight and be like, "No,
this is not what we're doing." He's gonna come back from commercial and be like, "Hey, audience, you remember that Andrew Lopez guy? He's not
even going to mention me. He's just not going to mention me at all.
Yeah.
Once I'm gone, I'm gone.
Look, here's the thing, man. It's like you said, and we'll wrap up with this because it's something I think Jim has said it in the opening segment, and I think you said it and Coach said it yesterday. You mentioned it with Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. You wouldn't even see him with the minutes that he's having, and Coach just mentioned he's one of our team leaders right now with the energy, which is nuts. For Brandon Boston, he's playing on national TV tonight. And that's going to be a question maybe we ask you the next podcast. When somebody's bodies come back, what's his future, right? Yeah. Because he's doing something that Jimmy was talking about, bringing the ball up the court, not turning the ball over. Turnovers have been a big issue with live ball turnovers. If you have a guy that's not doing it, can you really and a situation being a two-way player, all that. So for guys that maybe a lot of fans or media members go, wait for the star players or starters to come back. This is big. Tonight's big. These games against the teams I just mentioned, Lakers, Jokic, those guys. I mean, how they play against the top teams and top players, Steph Curry and all that's going to get noticed for some of these guys.
Big thing about Brandon Boston, we've always known he could score. That's what he does. He's slowly stepping up on the defensive end as well. That's going to be where he's going to have to kind of make his hey, look, I can do it on both sides. And I think he's showing that. And I think he's going to make for some very tough decisions. I don't know. He's a two-way guy. There's only so many guys he can so many games he can play, before, he would have to get converted. But I think this coaching staff has a lot of trust in him so far. And we've seen that with the responsibilities that they have thrown his way. And I think we'll continue to throw his way. So when you do start getting guys back healthy, it's going to make for some tough decisions.
Mr. Andrew Lopez, Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. And again, you can hear him in the third quarter tonight with the Graph here on the Pelicans Radio Network. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Andrew.
Our thanks to Andrew Lopez, and we wish him well in the third quarter when he sits next to Graph. See how the game is. Let's see how the game is in that third quarter.
All right, y'all. Now it's time for Western Conference Wednesday. Mr. Eichenhofer will tell us whose stock is up and whose stock is down. So let's get started. Jim, what is our team to keep an eye on for this week?
The team to watch over the next 7 days is the Phoenix Suns. They're 9-2 now overall, but they will not have Kevin Durant, and that makes it even more challenging if you look at their schedule coming up. Wednesday, tonight, they're playing at Sacramento. Then the rest of their road trip, they have a game Friday at Oklahoma City, Sunday at Minnesota, and then Monday they're home against Orlando Magic. So, I mean, that's pretty tough if you think about it. So I'm curious to see, can they sustain the crazy high level of play that they've had so far. Like I said, they've won 9 out of their first 11 games, had some really impressive wins along the way, but playing Sacramento, OKC, Minnesota on the road over their next 3 games, can they keep that up? The team to watch from last week is also 9-2 now, Golden State Warriors, and I'm giving them an A+ because over the last 7 days, they played 4 games. They went 3-1, and I think they had a 6-point win at Boston and an 11-point win at Oklahoma City. I mean, those are 2 of the most impressive wins that any team has had all season, and they did it over a span of a few days that they won on both of those teams' home courts. Mm-hmm. That's Oklahoma City's only home loss of the season. The other games that Golden State played, they lost by 19 at Cleveland, but then again, everyone's losing to the Cavs right now. And then last night they beat...
Literally, everybody.
Yes, literally. Yes. And then last night they beat Dallas by 3 in Klay Thompson's return back to the Chase Center. So, I mean, it's so impressive by Golden State that they were able to go 3-1 with that schedule. I mean, the reason I picked them as a team to watch was because that was one of the toughest schedules I think any team has had this season.
I have my hand up.
Yes.
No one can see it, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is Steph Curry the MVP right now?
Wow. It might be. I have
37 points. The final 12. Mm-hmm. Even Klay Thompson was saying after the game, he's like, I've been on the other side when he goes through his flurries, right. And he goes, it sucks.
It's not fun.
He's like, He just hits these impossible shots. But I was listening to a National of the Day and Patrick show this morning coming in, and he's like, are there really any impossible shots? Like when it comes to him, there are none.
Right. Yeah.
And look, you and I talked about it at the beginning of the season. We talked about it in Vegas. We talked about it in Nashville. We didn't know what this team was going to be like. They struggled last year to be the play-in team. Mm-hmm. They looked old.
Right.
They just did what with Steve Kerr to give him an extension? Really? Who's he going to coach? It looked like the days of Draymond Green being anything other than a technical foul.
Yeah.
And
he looked rejuvenated last night. He looked great.
Jim,
he looked like 5 years younger.
That is a legit 9-2 team. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, they're not winning because I know another team threw the ball away or something. Mm-hmm. They won games without Steph Curry. They're winning games with Steph Curry. Dallas has played good this year, and they had to lead pretty much most of that game. Mm-hmm. And then here comes who. 3 here, 3 there, 3 everywhere. And I tell you what, that place, when that place gets going, it's just it's scary because I'm sitting, I'm like, okay, it's been nice, been real. That Paris, 2 weeks from Steph, that was awesome to see. Mm-hmm. That's how I'll remember him. This dude's legit making me ask you, is he the front runner at MVP right now?
I think the Joker is right now, to be honest with you. I mean, if you look at the numbers that he's put up compared to pretty much everyone else, I mean, I heard people talking about how Jokic could lead the NBA in total points, rebounds, and assists, which I think someone said that hasn't been done in like 60 years or something like that. So, I mean, I would lean towards Jokic right now, but I mean, to your point, I mean, if Golden State ends up as a top 2 seed in the West and Curry keeps going crazy, it's going to be hard not to lean in his direction. But, I mean, breaking news, by the way, it's more fun to play with Steph Curry than it is to play against him.
I think so?
I think that was good to find that out. But, yeah, no, I mean, they were great last week or over the last 7 days. And then lastly, for the stock up and stock down, stock up, I got to go with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they beat Oklahoma City and Dallas last week. Those were two really good wins. I think that was the Thunder's first loss, if I remember correctly. Denver's won 5 games in a row. They're 7-3 now. And I think, literally a week ago, I think a lot of people were saying, like, is this the year? Are they going to tail off a ton? Are they not going to be in competition for a top 4 seed? And I think that was also what I brought up when we discussed this last week. But, I mean, they made a pretty resounding statement, I think, that they are going to be at least in the running for one of those home court advantage spots. Obviously, there's a ton of games left, and there's a lot of basketball to play. But, I mean, what Jokic is doing is incredible. Stock down, I got to go with the Dallas Mavericks because, and this, I don't think I would have picked them if they had won last night, so it kind of tells you how much of a small margin this is at this point in the season. But they have lost 3 games in a row, and they're 5-6 overall, so it's only a few weeks into the season. I don't think anyone's going to be panicking over being 500 at this early stage, but nonetheless, I think it is worth noting that they are, 5-6 after they made the Western Conference Finals last season. 2 seasons ago, they didn't even make the play-in tournament. So, I mean, it's been quite a up and down over the last couple of years. But they had several big tests, and they really were in every single game they played of the 3-game losing streak, but they lost by a point to Phoenix. They lost to Dallas close, they are Dallas. They lost to Denver close, and they lost to Golden State last night by 3. So, I mean, the margin is very slim, but they're a team that is definitely tracking negatively, at least over the last few games. The other contender for that was I probably would have picked if Dallas had won last night was Minnesota. That they've lost a couple games in a row, and right now Minnesota's only 6-5.
There you go.
There you have it.
As you were rattling off all the different wins and losses from some. You know, after tonight's game against OKC, the next 5 games for the Pelicans? You know off the top of your head? Denver on Friday. Here?
Lakers.
Yeah, Lakers.
Dallas, Cleveland, and
Golden State. That's all the time we have for today's Pelicans podcast. No, I'm kidding. Look, come on out to the Bayou Beer Garden. Let's have some fun. Look, these guys are playing hard. They are competitive. At the end of the day, you want to be able to watch in case they do beat a team that is playing really well. And at some point, Jim, we're going to get some healthy bodies. At some point, this team is going to get healthy. So in the meantime, got to tread water, try to find a way to scrap a win.
And I mean, being able to get Wednesday would be an epic win, and it would be a huge statement. I think for a lot of these guys, you got to think about, too, some of the players that are getting minutes. This is important. They're not looking at this like
100%.
Like we're big underdogs. Yeah. We're probably not good. They're looking at this as like, this is my chance to make a huge statement about my career and the progress I'm made and the ability for me to solidify myself long-term in the NBA, whether it's Brandon Boston or Jalen Noel or some of the other players that we've talked about.
To your point, as we wrap up here, Willie Green said something like that. Like when it comes to like Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Listen to what he said.
For sure. Absolutely. For sure. It's silver lining in it is the ability, like Jeremiah wouldn't probably have an opportunity to be on the floor as much. You know, BJ Boston, we wouldn't have picked him up. We're getting a chance to see Eves play night in and night out, 20-plus minutes a game, and his production has been really good. His leadership, his ability to carry our team right now, and there's some positives in it, you know, along the way that we're going through some difficulties.
There you go.
There you go. Looking forward to it.
I mean, Eichenhofer knows his stuff.
That's the thing I'm going to be watching for tonight. I mean, you got guys that are getting opportunities, and by the way, it's also on national TV, so I think they would be up for this game regardless, but that adds a little sprinkle of extra motivation.
Indeed. And again, we'd love to see you. It is an official watch party, so we'll have Pelicans merchandise. The mascot will be out there, the dance team. More importantly, Jim and Aaron will be out there as well. Come out and say hi to them, and then I don't have to talk to them. It's the New Orleans Pelicans podcast. As always, we appreciate you tuning us in. We'll see you again on Friday right here, where you get your New Orleans Pelicans podcast.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Pelicans podcast. Join us 3 times per week on Pelicans.com, the Pelicans mobile app, or you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time right here on the New Orleans Pelicans podcast